It is hour number 2. That's drive time right here on the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan with you on a Friday afternoon, and joining us from the state of Florida, he is Clemson Tom. CT, what's up, man?
It's 100 degrees here.
100
What's
degrees. It's
wrong?
nice here, man. I don't know what it is, but it's nice. It's 80 here.
I know, and I remember my mom who lives up there, so I get all the weather updates.
Right.
It's 100 degrees here. This is not fair.
You don't have
Very
to
fair.
live in Florida, Tom. You do know that, right? There's opportunities to move.
Yeah, well, when you run a business based out of said town, you got to keep it there.
Look, I understand, man. So, first off, the big topic on the program today, Tom, that we've been talking about is the limiting factor. Like, what is the main thing, in your opinion, that determines how good Clemson is this season? What is the thing that will hold the Tigers back, so to speak, more than anything else? Is it coaching? Is it players? Injury? Is it a specific player, a specific position? I mean, where do you stand on what makes this team 11-1 or 12-0 versus 9-3 or 8-4?
Man, with this year, it's you could pick your poison. You could say, well, we got a new OC, we got a new DC. I mean,
right.
They're going to make some rookie mistakes, so you could lose one based off one of those. Based off the quarterback position, let's just say DJ goes in there and just doesn't perform well. Just say he doesn't. So we hand the reins over to a freshman, straight out the gate.
Yeah.
He's going to make some freshman mistakes. He's not going to know the playbook as well as he should. So that's going to limit the playbook right there. That's going to limit the plays that we can run. Let's say injuries. We got banged up really bad last year. Look at the D-line. Look at the D-line now. We got XT that's out for a few weeks. I mean, anything could affect this team going into this year. That's why, people ask me, I think this is one of the most exciting years we've had with Clemson in a very long time. You've got, new coaches. You've got this crazy talented defense. You've got an O-line that's been hyped up like crazy. And you're basically playing roulette with your quarterbacks. What's going to happen? Is DJ going to be the DJ we recruited, or is he going to be the DJ from last year? What about the kid from Texas? I'm real big on recruiting, but I don't believe you're a 5-star until I see you in a night game against a rival in primetime TV. Great. You lit it up in high school against, 14 and 15-year-olds. Fantastic. Let's see how you do against a cover 2 at Doak Campbell Stadium at 8 p.m. on ABC when the entire crowd is cheering and you can't hear yourself think. I mean, I can't wait, man. I'm pumped.
Clemson Tom's on Twitter at Clemson Tom. You can see his information below if you're watching the program. So, Tom, I guess from that standpoint, when you look at DJ this year, and I've said this over the past couple of weeks because it's something that I keep going back to, and I'm sure some of the listeners are saying, Swanny, but you can't hang your hat on that. But I just don't believe what you saw happen at Notre Dame 2 years ago, Tom, was just this fluke event. Like, I really think that's who DJ has the ability to be. And if that guy is cooped up inside of this player that we saw a year ago, and he unleashes the beast, so to speak, this team could be very good this year.
Oh, yes. And that's what I think, too. I think last year he was banged up. He was going through some things, and I just think it was like quicksand. The more he tried to overcome it, the worse it got.
Oh, that's a great
And then
analogy.
everyone's claiming for, I can't pronounce his last name, Pikachu.
Pumachan.
And so he couldn't throw the ball. So it was like, hey, take out DJ who's not throwing it well and put in the guy who can't throw. Like, no, guys, that's not how this works. And that's why at the end of the season last year, we ran the ball way more than what we threw it because we had to. So I legitimately do think that it was a fluke with DJ. He slimmed down. And sometimes you've got to take a step back to become better. I mean, even as an athlete, I've learned more from losses than I ever did a win. And I've gotten the worst butt chewing after a win than I ever did a loss. So sometimes you got to get knocked down to get back up. And I think DJ's going to come out swinging. He slimmed down. He looks a heck of a lot better. I think he's going to throw the ball. I think he's going to get a little bit more creative on the running and the passing. I mean, that's why I'm so pumped.
Clemson Tom is on Twitter at Clemson Tom. So earlier today, Tom, we talked about the fact that Quinn Ewers, who is the young man out of Texas who went to Ohio State, got that money, and then went back to Texas, is now named the starting quarterback for the Longhorns. But next year, Arch Manning's rolling in. I said this, one of those two guys hits the portal. I know you enjoy the sports investment strategy from time to time, Tom. What would you say the odds are that one of those two guys ends up in the portal in the next few years?
Man, that's tough to say. I got a low-flying airplane coming at me right now, Swanny.
I don't like the way this sounds right now.
Dude, a plane just crashed right in front of me. Live on your show.
You gotta be kidding me.
Like a little Cessna.
Are they okay?
I'm being dead serious.
No, I believe you.
Holy crap.
I mean, are they okay?
Yeah, they look okay. They're getting out now.
Okay.
Or they're trying to get out. It's not on fire. Everyone stopped in traffic. Okay, next question. I'll send you pictures.
No. Listen, I'm not saying I don't trust you, Tom.
What the heck's going on? A plane just crashed. Like one of those little two-seaters that MacGyver used to drive.
Are you in a car or are you in your backyard?
I'm in the car. I just picked up Xander from school. We just got some new shoes. I got some new sandals, and we're off to pick up Hendrick from the babysitter.
Wow. Well, I'm glad they're all right.
And
man.
a plane, I was like, what? Like, wow. Okay.
Well, that's our first on-air plane crash that we've ever had witnessed.
Holy crap!
I'm glad. Yeah. I'm glad you. I'm glad you. I'm glad you're able to bring that to us, and I'm glad the people are okay. Tom. All right. So now my train of thought's been wrecked. So I was thinking you were going to say it's 100% that one of those two guys would end up transferring, Ewers or Manning at some point, because Manning comes in next year. I've got James. James says Ewers might not start this year. Well, they just named him the starter, so he's at least going to start game one. James, he just got named the starter. But do you think one of those two guys will transfer, Tom?
Yeah, I think Manning will stay, to be 100% honest with you.
That's what I kind of think so, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't answer your question before. There was like a plane coming at me. Yeah, I think Manning's going to be the guy. I think he's going to stay. I would be very surprised if he did transfer. And if he does transfer, that's going to be the whole thing on ESPN for like a week until they say what happens. But, I mean, who knows? He could be the one that transfers. But in my book, I do say he stays. But at the same time, it depends on how the season goes. What if this kid comes in and blows it out and Manning's like, I can't beat him out? You know, maybe he transfers. Who knows? With the whole transfer portal right now, it's all over the place, buddy.
Tom, it wasn't, I guess, really all that long ago here on the program that if you had told me, hey, Swanny, what would you think of the college football playoff sort of creating a new league and revamping things without the NCAA and having like a commissioner and some different rules, I would have quickly told you, Tom, I don't like that idea. But with NIL completely out of control, with the transfer portal gone wild, Tom, I would embrace it. I would embrace a new entity for college football.
Happen. Yeah, I think it's going to happen. It's getting to be just, I mean, we say it all the time. It's like the Wild West out here. All the cheating that went on in the background of, bars and restaurants in the back alleyways is now in the forefront, and it's welcomed. I mean, you've got companies giving these kids hundreds, like I'm being dead serious, hundreds of thousands of dollars just to play a video game and stream it. And kids are turning it down because they want more.
Right.
Some kids are taking it. You offer me $100,000 to play a video game? I'm doing it. Like, how long do you need me to play? What video game? Let's do it right now. I'm free. It's creating too much of it's bad, man. It's the root of all evil. And when you start doing stuff like this, you're going to have teams that just can't compete. Let me look at Texas A&M. Look at Ole Miss. Ole Miss can't compete with Texas A&M with all the oil money they got going on out there. I mean, you got guys just buying players like it's crazy to think about it. And there's got to be there's going to probably end up being like a salary cap or something like that. I don't know. It's wild.
Well, I think there's going to have to be some sort of cap on what these guys can make. There's going to have to be make sure everybody's getting something. There's going to have to be the transfer portal is going to have to change for these guys that are playing this. And it's going to be outside of the NCAA. I mean, CJ Stroud, the quarterback at Ohio State, after the $7-8 billion deal that the Big Ten got, says he believes that there should be revenue sharing that, filters down to the players. I want to say to a kid like CJ Stroud, that's what you call the facilities and the things that you have at the school that don't cost you anything. Like, where do you think, CJ, that came from? That money that's brought in from TV deals is what provides that stuff for you. And right. So these kids have such a warped sense of how this system is working now and their value. They don't think, a lot of them don't think anything about the education, unfortunately. And that's how this thing was supposed to benefit so many of these kids, because only 2% are going to play at the next level. And if you leave college dumb as a box of rocks, then you know what? You don't have a very bright future.
No, if it were me, and let's just say Xander goes on and becomes, a crazy D1 athlete golfer, and all these people are offering him all this NIL money. I mean, yeah, it could benefit us like crazy. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars? Absolutely. That's life-changing money, like instantly. Like, the smart way is to say, okay, you need a little bit, go ahead and take some, right? Go ahead and take, I don't know, 40 grand out, and you're good for the whole year. You're good for a little bit if you can budget that properly. Put into a high interest account, put the rest of it into just some kind of investment account, and just let it just grow and grow and grow. And any other money that comes in, just keep piling it in there.
Right.
And then as soon as you graduate, if it doesn't work out, you've got all of that right there. But let's just say let's say XT or DJ. DJ's got all the money from Bojangles and everything else. He took out what he could use and, different bills and whatever. The rest stays in this account, and he does go to the NFL, and he makes all this money. He still has this huge investment account of a nest egg that's just sitting there that he doesn't need, that's just making money. Like, you've got to have that for the kids that are going to get all this money. They don't get drafted. They don't make it to the next level, and they're just sitting there going, well, I got a degree in teaching, and now I'm going to go over here and just be a teacher because I thought I was going to be in the NFL, and I didn't, not to knock on teachers, but if you're getting a free education, like, go all the way in. And they're just taking easy classes just to get out of there, and underwater basket weaving or something like that they can't really do much with. And they're just sitting there, just getting by when they thought that, they were going to be in the Hall of Fame. But if they have the NL money, they can do stuff with it. You can go out, you can set yourself up for success. You can start a business.
Yeah.
You can do anything. And it gives you a leg up on everything instead of being 19, 20, 21 years old and somebody's giving you $150,000. That's going to be gone by spring break. So they've got to do something just to be prepared.
It is the show that shakes the Southland Clemson Sports Talk on a Friday. Clemson Tom joining us here for about 5 more minutes. So, Tom, obviously you mentioned XT's injury. It's a deep group up front. He's a guy who's got his body fat percentage down, was really, I think, expecting to kind of explode on the scene this year, kind of a revamped XT. But, if you read his social media posts and everything like that, he does seem, I'm not saying he was ever arrogant, right? I don't want to say that, but he does seem a lot more humble and excited to be, kind of at this stage in his career. And I'm anxious. Dabo Swanny seemed to say it may just be one game he misses. If it ends up being more than that, okay. But I'm really anxious to see this kid play his final season at Clemson.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm also interested with that as well, 100%.
Yeah, I think he's got the fire in his belly, so to speak. As for that, I mean, when you look at that defensive line, Brian Brazie's coming back, is this team defensively good enough that even if the offense sputters, that they still can win the Atlantic Coast Conference and ultimately still qualify for the college football playoff? Or do you think they absolutely have to have a pulse offensively this year?
They know you got to have a pulse offensively, 100%. But the defense is good enough to keep you in a lot of games. I mean, you can go as far as saying, like, look at the Ravens when they had Trent Dilfer as quarterback. That defense was just world class, and the offense they just were out there going, "Hey guys, just don't mess it up," and we're only going to let this other team score like twice, a field goal and a touchdown. So yeah, I mean, we got to go out there defensively and just kick butt, but the offense doesn't have to win games. I think that's the big aspect of it all. I'm tweeting you pictures of this airplane.
I just
and wrapped it off.
Oh, you're tweeting that at me, or are you texting me?
I'm tweeting it at you. The cops came out. Well, thankfully the police station wasn't very far away. So there's a fire department less than a mile down the road, and here's the plane. They've got.
Oh my gosh, Tom!
You see it? I wasn't kidding.
Look at this. I'm gonna show people on the screen. Look at this.
Yeah, I wasn't kidding. It's nuts.
While we were on the air. And so did the traffic stop where you are?
Yeah.
And everybody got out safely?
Yeah, no, as far as I could tell. Yeah, the pilot got out okay. That's the guy I saw. So, yeah.
Unbelievable. Wow. So did he hit the So did he hit the power lines there, Tom, or was he under the power lines? It's incredible that he squeezed it in.
Well, he kind of went under him a little bit. I don't really see anything falling.
Wow. That could have been deadly. I mean, I know a plane crash obviously could have been deadly, but that could have been really bad.
He got out fine. I can't see anything else down. I mean, I'm past it now. They opened it up. I mean, thankfully, it's like literally a mile, maybe 2 miles away from the fire station right here. Yeah, that was nuts. I've never seen that in person. That was insane.
You think?
I don't know.
Well, that's why when you said there's a low-flying airplane coming at me, I said that's not good.
No, it was just flying. I'm sitting there. I'm like, listening to you talk. I'm trying to pay attention, but I'm like, wait a minute. This ain't normal.
Well, yeah. Well, because I'll be honest, Tom. I thought, well, that's kind of I thought that's kind of a weak sauce answer from you on whether or not what percent. On your on the odds, you're normally pretty strong with your odd takes. Oh man, Tom, buddy. Well, I'm glad you guys are safe, man.
Brother, just another day in the life, man. Insane.
Be good, boss. I will talk to you next week, brother.
Hey, I'm flying up the 16th. So hopefully we don't have a similar situation.
Oh, God. There you go, man. Be good. Take care. Clemson Tom's on Twitter at Clemson Tom. We'll talk to you next week, man. All right, there he goes. 803-450-0086. That is nuts. A plane crashes in front of him while we're on the phone. Go listen to the question and answer that took place there. I mean, it was awkward. It was awkward. He's like, there's a low-flying plane coming right at me. Holy moly. He meant it, too. He is not far from where that plane crashed. Not far at all. I'm going to go retweet it right now. 803-450-0086. We had a quick break here on the show that shakes the Southland on a Friday afternoon, and we'll dive back into some of the numbers out of the Big Ten off of their new media rights deal and a whole lot more on the show that shakes the Southland. It is Clemson Sports Talk on Fox Sports Radio 1400. All right. Y'all, that is wild. See if I can pull those pictures up for you. Cut that. Save as. Okay. Because he tweeted it to me, so Twitter. All right, here you go. I'll pull it up for you. Look at this. Oh my gosh. This is insane. Their screen. Look at that. There's the plane. There's where Tom was when it went down. And then it appears Tom also tweeted this video that just was, I guess, on, I don't know if that's local TV or I guess y'all could see that. Holy moly. Oh my goodness. How crazy is this? I mean, that person is lucky they lived. Oh, wow. That is nuts. Well, that's officially the craziest things ever happened on the air during an interview. Oh man. All right, stop that screen. I can turn that off. All right, let me get this file uploaded real quick. And then we'll get rolling. Put you in the break segment. Clemson Sports Talk, Fox Sports Radio 14 under the Midlands. That was Clemson Tom before the break, and that was a wild one. I tweeted the images that he sent us. Obviously, I shared them with those people who are watching the show live right now. And feel free to hit that share button. Let's bring some more people into the conversation today. A plane crashed in front of him while he's on the air with us. And fortunately, it appears that the individuals in the plane crash are okay. So thank goodness for that. 803-450-0086 text line, phone line. Again, as I said earlier, we're trying to make sure that we get you guys all on the program. If you want to call, you can. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the limiting factor for Clemson. Any thoughts you have on fall camp right now for the Tigers as they continue to push through towards their opener against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets? Obviously, that is a game that presents another interesting dynamic because there's the chance that Tyson Pumachan at some point in that game maybe gets in. Tyson's ability to sort of know Clemson's offense to a degree. There's a change now with Brandon Streeter taking over, but even still, just the dynamics there in that game, only about 45,000 people going to be in the venue. So to me, I think it's going to feel fairly empty. But I know that everybody's excited about the season getting ready to kick off, and we get closer and closer each and every day. So I brought up C.J. Stroud earlier, quarterback at Ohio State, and look, I say this because I feel like as a guy that talks about college football and college sports, like I have a vested interest in the future of this thing. So do you, because you're a fan. And if it gets too far gone, some fans are going to say, man, this is not the sport I grew up on. And I think we would all be naive. All of us would be naive to say that the previous system, given the money that is currently being generated, didn't create enough for players. Because I think if you say that, you probably recognize that with the money that came in and the way coaches' salaries just skyrocketed, some more had to be done. The real problem is this NIL thing doesn't help everybody. Doesn't help every player. And you've even got some entities, coming up with ideas where, maybe a situation like this, Ohio State could somehow give these guys money. We already see the players trying to generate money for themselves. I just think the system is so much worse than it ever was for a couple of reasons. One, if you ask an old player, the majority of the guys that used to play, about what it should look like, they're going to tell you everybody should be getting the same thing. That's number one. I've yet to talk to a former player, not just a former Clemson player, but a former player in general, who felt like at the collegiate level, not the professional level, at the collegiate level, that player X should get more than player Y. Because inherently what is built into the collegiate system is college, the education. And if you're not careful, that's going to do what James says. Education will be completely out of the window. And for many years. And still, universities have, they have the ability to maneuver some of their restrictions to get athletes in because of their value to the school, to their value to the athletic department. Now, the other thing that a lot of people don't know or never recognized is that even take the kid who comes from the least, whoever that young man is playing collegiately, there have always been grants, not loans, grants. You don't pay them back, that these young individuals can get up to, I think, like $6,600 a year at one point. And that number may have gotten larger, right? So $6,600 a year for the guys that just truly needed it. Then there was also the cost of attendance scholarship that came along that at whatever universities, at different universities, it was different things. But, at some universities, that could be $3,600 or more. You add that to your $6,600, and all of a sudden you've got more than $10,000 coming in for a player who really doesn't have, and that's not every player. I want to make that clear. That is not every player. That's for the player that doesn't really have much and is probably, and hopefully sending stuff home to help out in that scenario. And that is unfortunate. I don't disregard it. I believe that that's part of the power of the system that the NCAA and college football created, and basketball and other sports created for those individuals to get their education and to go out and get a good job if they didn't end up making it to the next level. Now, the problem is, again, if you're not naive, is you have to recognize that there are plenty of programs out there where the emphasis was never and has never been on football. Has never been on education. It's been on football. And because of that, you had guys that got out of school and just had not gained anything from this opportunity that was laid in front of them. So with the portal and with the system that we're currently in, I just think it's broken and too wide open. And I think we've got to rein it back in more, and we've got to do what all these older players constantly tell me. We've got to make sure that every player from top to bottom in this system is benefiting equally so that everybody has an opportunity to help out their family. Stay with us. All right. Cut. Boom goes the dynamite. Good. All right, we'll put you guys on a break and probably about a minute, maybe 2 times through the loop. All right, bud. Have fun. The new Madden. The show that shakes the Southland, or as they said in the olden days, the show that shaketh the Southland. All right, how about this news? You see the news yesterday? Monty Lee, former Clemson Tiger head baseball coach, going to be an assistant on Mark Kingston's staff in Columbia. I mean, what an unbelievable, not necessarily turn of events, but, what a unbelievable shift in this rivalry, and maybe a shift in how some of you feel about Monty Lee. Now, he was already an assistant with the Gamecocks previously before he went to College of Charleston. He was with South Carolina. When he got to Clemson, that was one of the things we often talked to him about early on in his tenure, was just what it's like to be on the other side of that rivalry at that point. And now, and now Monty Lee is going to be shifting to the other side of that rivalry again. So Monty Lee going to be joining the South Carolina baseball staff with Mark Kingston. I know Lee's tenure at Clemson it did not have the outcomes that I think a lot of people thought that it would have when he arrived. But you know what? I think that this adds a little extra something to the rivalry. I also put a picture up in the image that we used when Monty Lee was taking on the Gamecocks and defeated South Carolina at their own stadium a couple of years ago. Additionally, if you want to go check out our website right now, you can. Got the press conference up there with Dabo Swanny plus the Radio Rewind. An exclusive interview with 5-star KJ Bolden. You want to go check that out. Brandon Streeter. Come join us. Here's how you could do it. Get this. $1 right now gets you 3 months of coverage. After that, it's $63.17 for 1 year of coverage of your Clemson Tigers. So if you like the number 6317, if you want to help us keep the lights on and keep the show going, literally the lights on the Tiger behind us, you want to help us keep those on, come join us, help us grow, and tell your friends about what we're doing here. 803-450-0086. But Monty Lee going to be an assistant at South Carolina. How did you take that news yesterday? Put your thoughts in the forum there. We'd love to hear, what was your take when you heard that? Like, I think there were some people that kind of felt like, hey, you know what, I'm not surprised. And I think a part of the reason that there was a portion of you that weren't surprised about that is the fact that you knew that Monty Lee, again, he's a guy from the state of South Carolina. Obviously, he's making good money being a baseball coach. Maybe, if you were really careful financially, beans and rice and beans, Dave Ramsey style, while you were coaching, maybe you squirreled away, $1 million, maybe more. But if not, if you had a nice house and you had nice cars and you put your, if you had to pay to send your kids to school, like I don't know everything that Monty Lee's expenses. I don't know what, I don't have his, I'm not his accountant, but you're young, 45, probably going to go back to work. You've been at South Carolina. You're from the state. Probably not going to leave. Probably not going to just pack it up and head west. So natural fit, in my opinion. Natural fit for Monty Lee. But the juice, Eric Bakich coming in, taking on Mark Kingston, does that have like that? I don't think it's got that same head-to-head feel that maybe Gamecock fans felt when Monty Lee was the head coach at Clemson. I don't think it's the same kind of thing you had when you had Jack Leggett going up against Ray Tanner or June Raines, I guess, even prior to that, versus Bill Wilhelm. Like, does Eric Bakich and Mark Kingston? I guess we'll find out. I guess though, didn't Mark Kingston, Gamecock fans peeking over the fence, didn't Mark Kingston come from Michigan State? Am I wrong on that? Let me pull this out in the old Google machine here. Where did he come from? South Florida. Who am I thinking was from Michigan State? Kingston played at North Carolina. I had to throw up my Google machine. I have no idea why Michigan State was in my head. I was thinking maybe you could, have that rivalry. Like maybe these guys coached against each other in the Big Ten, but nothing. 803. Swanny's reaching. I got to. James says he's back to where he belongs. Listen, Monty Lee, you guys can give him all the grief you want. Monty Lee was great as a guest, great to this program. I'm quite frankly, I'm happy for him. It'll give me and Monty Lee a chance to hang out Yeah, I'll get to talk to him a little bit, but he was, not as successful as I think everybody thought. Had some really good recruiting. Maybe the biggest thing he did was, keep Seth Beer, who ends up being the National Player of the Year. Keeping Seth Beer or convincing Seth Beer to stay with his commitment to Clemson when Jack Leggett, gets bounced out of there. Probably the best thing, or one of the great things that we're seeing that Eric Bakich has done. And look, I don't know fair or foul if Monty Lee just didn't do this or if it was the way it all shaped up. But I don't know if because Monty Lee was the guy that replaced Leggett, if there was ever anything that could really make Leggett feel comfortable being back there. And none of that was Monty Lee's fault. I mean, I'm just saying. I don't know that. Just saying. 803-450-0086. Phone lines have been open all day. If you've tried to call and we haven't gotten to you, I don't know why. I think I've got it set up correctly. Maybe I don't. Nonetheless, we have a text that came through just a minute ago. We'll get to that as we get set to get the ribbon out to put a big old bow on the Friday edition of the show that shakes the Southland. It is Clemson Sports Talk. Keep it locked right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400 and on the iHeart Radio app. All right. Getting ready to take her home, fam. I think if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to try to do the 2 hours live and break it up into two shows on the stream and all that, the one thing that's going to happen is, at least for you guys here live, you're going to get this. And I really don't want to go in and cut this up. I don't really want to go in and take this out. That seems like extra work. So for those of you, when you catch the rebroadcast, hey, you just get at this point, the real McCoy. Maybe I can grow the CST team a little bit. Some of you come subscribe to the website, give some help to build the team a little bit, and maybe we can get somebody that's their job. What do you do? I cut out video for Clemson Sports Talk. All right. Gotta upload this file. All right, let's see. Got 8 minutes on that. All right, we'll push y'all into a break real fast. I'm gonna get these breaks set up differently too. That'll be something else I'll do. But I'm gonna push you guys into a break real quick, and we'll come right back. Give me a second. Final segment on a Friday afternoon, the show that shakes the Southland, Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan with you. Thank you to Clemson Tom for being a part of the program. Speaking of which, we got a text message in just a few minutes ago from our buddy Davey D. listening to the program down in the Swansea area. David E says, Clemson Sports Talk equals expect the unexpected with Clemson Tom. Yeah. Yeah, that was that, like, in the way he said it, the way Tom said it, I knew that it wasn't like, oh, this is normal. And then, so earlier, if you're just joining us, during the middle of our interview with Clemson Tom, I asked him a question about Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning and which, the odds that one of those guys ends up in the portal. And Tom's a guy, he likes the old sports investment strategy, right? And so I asked him the odds that one of those two guys ends up in the portal, which I think is microphone, watch out, which I think is 100%. Like, I think it's 100% chance one of those two guys ends up in the portal. And Tom says, I don't even remember what his answer was, but moments later he goes, Swanny, there is a low-flying plane in front coming right at me, and it just crashed. And then he tweeted at us the photos and a video, and thank goodness it looks like nobody was injured. But that was as wild of a moment maybe in this show's history, just in terms of, what just happened. John, listening to the program in Archdale, North Carolina, says, got off work early to run an errand. Now watching you on YouTube. Go Tigers. John, you're the man. Yeah, I need to do this more. I know a lot of you catch the show this way, and it is a lot of fun for me. I love the engagement. We get the Savage Dog in the house from time to time. He's stoked for the football season. It's almost here. He says, good luck to your Tigers, man. Same to you. That opener, Savage Dog, I'll ask you. I talked about this the other day, and I don't know that Savage Dog streams us on the iHeartRadio app. But, and we are live there every day from 4 to 6. Savage Dog, Dan Lanning being the new head coach at Oregon. Obviously, they have to come all the way across the country. That shouldn't be a factor in this day and age. Kids are used to that type travel. But with Lanning kind of knowing Georgia's system a little bit and knowing the offense, knowing some of the defense, knowing the players on the defense, I mean, is there an advantage, a significant advantage for him in that game? I mean, I've seen people picking Oregon to pull the upset over Georgia. There's a couple of factors for me that would go into that. One, Lanning's knowledge. And I don't know if all Georgia fans feel this way, okay? This is probably a hot take in Athens. The Classic City won't love this one. Because he led Georgia to a national championship. But I don't love Stetson Bennett. I don't know that he's this player that's impervious to a big major breakdown. And so, although I saw an article on Sports Illustrated the other day, I think it was yesterday, maybe, that said something along the lines of, with his doubters in the rear view, look, I am a major doubter of Stetson Bennett. Even though he led him to a national title over Alabama, I'm still a major doubter of Bennett. Like, I think Georgia won because of their defense. And the offense did just enough. And it was thorough. I give Georgia every ounce of credit. It was thorough. But yeah, I'm still hesitant a little bit. Although I agree with James 100% on this, dog. Georgia wins easy. By the way, my sister hanging out with us. She said, I didn't know you were live on YouTube today. Yes. If you see us on YouTube, outside of like a rerunning of the show, we are live. So if it's probably between 3 and 5:30-ish, yeah, no way to really fake this. Trust me on that. And my brother-in-law had surgery today, so HD, hope you're doing well, man. Get well. Get well. All right, here's what Savage Dog says. He's come with his answer for me. He says, I think it might be a slight advantage with Lanning knowing the system, but our superior talent will win it. Stess is definitely a game manager. Fair take, man. 100%. 100%. I think you're going to win the game. I think if you were to lose, right, I think it comes down to Lanning knowing some things that where he feels like that defense, it's a whole revamped defense, but where maybe he feels like some of those second-level guys were vulnerable. So maybe they hit on a couple of big plays by taking advantage of that. And then Bennett just isn't the guy he was in that championship game. And I think that's kind of it. All right, look, we got to get out of here. Thank you for being a part of the program today. I appreciate you hanging out. Until Monday, as always, y'all take care now. And go Tigers. All right, folks, thank you. Appreciate it. Let's put this Clemson Sports Talk stamp on it, why don't we?